Hello and welcome to the Rev It Up podcast, helping entrepreneurs fill up their tanks, crank up the RPMs, and put the pedal to the metal until they cross that finish line. Hello, I'm Jess Tiffany. Ready, set, go. Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of the Rev It Up podcast. We have a wonderful guest today, Ashley Tapp. She empowers leaders to be who they need to be, improving businesses by integrating systems that allow for massive growth. You started your business because you had dreams, goals, and plans. She helps you get back to your why and start living the life you've always dreamed. Your change starts now. And with that, thank you, Ashley, for being on our show today. And before we get into things, could you tell people where to find you specifically online?
Yes, absolutely. So my website is my name. So it's ashleytapp.actioncoach.com. And then on LinkedIn, I'm Ashley Tapp. There's usually two of us that come up. I am not the chess player. I'm the other one.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about your previous profession and how that kind of moved you into the coaching realm?
Yeah. So I've spent the last 15 years actually working in small businesses, side by side with the owners and the CEOs, figuring out how do we run a successful business. I know that being a business owner, you have everything on your shoulders. And you chose that path, which is fantastic. We need lots of business owners out there. Small business really, runs our world and runs our economy. But there's good and bad. There's pay. I worked for someone, and I thought that there was a better way. And then you get the business going, and then all of a sudden you find out you're working for a lunatic. Except for the lunatic is yourself now, because you're back to that 80, 90 hours. You're not making it home for dinner. And so then you get to the point where, okay, I need to hire some employees.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden you become a manager. And then when you become a manager, even if you have an MBA from the best university, that doesn't actually teach you how to run a business. And so my role for basically my entire career has been to really work side by side with those business owners and figure out the plan, figure out how do we both grow the business while also sustaining a little bit of mental cohesiveness and being able to make it home for dinner. Nice. And in my latest role, I was a strategic initiatives manager. So that really was specific to developing our 5-year plan, 3-year plan, 1-year plan, and then figuring out the steps that we need to take every day, from the owner standpoint to our leadership team, and then trickling it into our hourly employees.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. It seems like you've been grooming for this position for years. Just didn't know it until you got there.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, you sent me this book called The Business Coach by CEO of Action Coach, Brad Sugars. And I did talk to him on LinkedIn and told him I met you, and he said you're a class act, so I will take his word for that. And but I wanted to ask you about some of the stuff in the book, just to kind of help me stay on track with some awesome questions that I think we can generate out of this. So this is out of I don't know what chapter this is, but it talks about the first stage of growing any business is about making sure we deliver profitability, productivity, and with enough information to make great decisions. And I guess I wanted to get kind of your take on maybe a couple things that can help with both profitability and productivity.
Yes. So that's speaking to the very first steps that we, when we go into a business, that we want to make sure that you have. So that's our foundation. That's kind of our mastery of foundation. And it's bringing kind of your chaos to control. So from a profitability standpoint, do we know how to go get money if we need it? If we have payroll coming up and we have accounts receivable that needs to get in, do we know what we can quickly do in our business to be able to go get some new clients, sell some extra products? Can we do a package deal? Can we do a discount? Can we, what can we do to quickly do that from a profitability standpoint?
Yeah.
And then from a productivity standpoint, it's making sure we have kind of the vision. So the big vision, I know it's kind of a fun word that a lot of people are kind of throwing out right now, vision and mission and things like that. But it is, you have to know where you're going. Otherwise, you don't know where you're going. We're in Minnesota here. If I'm planning a road trip to California, I'm going to map that out. I'm going to have a roadmap for how I'm going to get there. And then once I know, I'm going from Minneapolis to San Diego, then I can say, okay, that's a really long drive. So how can I add some little fun spots in between there so that I can make the most productive and the most fun, have fun on the way. And I think that's where a lot of business owners can get lost in I just want to grow my business, or I just want to X. Well, let's get that vision and mission out there, and we can always change it.
Yeah.
But if we have a roadmap for where we're going, then we can add those little things in, and your vision and mission will change, but at least we had a starting point.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good stuff. And can you guide us a little bit on what's the process you go through from the 5-year vision down to the 3-month down all the way down to the daily task? Obviously there's a process there.
Absolutely. Yep. So we actually have a product called Send, and it's a big heaping, it's actually a 5-year, it's like 72 pages that comes out of it, but it's a full 2 days. I sit down with you and we go through everything, and you can actually take this plan to the bank if we need additional funding for, new equipment or bringing on new staff, or right now having to have all the protection and the guards in between employees and that kind of thing. But it's a really big plan. And a lot of times when business owners, start their business, they had to put that together to be able to get their initial funding or get going.
Yep.
And then now you look in the drawer in the back of the office and it's all dusty sitting back there. So how can we, our methodology is, yes, we need to have this big plan for multiple reasons, but how do we make it executable? So we start with that, and then we do our 90-day planning. And even then, a lot of plans are, again, 5 or 6 pages. I get it down to 1. I get it down to 1 page. It's on your office wall. You look at it every day. And we don't bombard ourselves. As business owners, there's always going to be kind of that shiny penny or that kind of fire or things that kind of come up, especially if we're new into our business or new into coaching, where we're still trying to turn that chaos into comfort and relaxation. So if we put it on one plan, you look at it every day, and we only pick a couple things. If we pick 2 or 3 things that we need to get done this quarter, if you get it done in 1 month, that's fantastic. Let's pull a couple more out, because we also have our 1-year plan. So it's not like the plan ever ends. We can pull things out of there. But if there's in March of last year, we shut down, it's like, holy heck, we have to completely shift of what we're doing. So maybe some of those things didn't get done, but they don't go away. We still have them documented, and we just work from there.
Okay. And of those businesses that had to make that big pivot, is there 1 or 2 standouts that you've kind of seen in your career with how they pivoted through the crisis?
Yes. So I think restaurants, I know there's a lot of conversation. That's definitely, there's lots of different models, but I think businesses that were very much into the sit down experience, and they have an experience where it's the candlelight, it's who greets you at the door, it's the way that the restaurant smells when you walk in. How can we recreate that when, Uber Eats or someone is coming to pick up our food, and drop it off?
Right.
So it's been those restaurants that have been able to capture some of those things, whether it be in the packaging, whether it be in the follow-up, whether it be in kind of the direct advertising. I've seen a lot of restaurants kind of start to reach out more on their Facebook profiles and everything to kind of, it's a different relationship now.
Yeah.
Where it's potentially more of your local folks coming in and wanting to support you, rather than just trying to say, I want to market to everyone. It's no, I want to market to these people. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's making those changes and thinking creatively and outside of the box sometimes, things like that. I know I've had, so I don't know if you can see in the screen here, for those listening, it's a digital business card but these have NFC chips in them. And literally you can, so at the restaurants, they can just literally go and set it next to your phone and it pops up on your screen and then you can order your food. And then they have a backup on the backside of a QR code. So just in case you don't have the NFC technology in it, but it's kind of a cool, bridging that gap for, not having to touch, keeping the social distancing and stuff a little bit and stuff, not having to touch menus and stuff. But yeah, I've seen all kinds of stuff out there that really they've, some people have really been creative. So so on this one here, it says it is vital to know your numbers each day, week, month, so you can make decisions for the future. Can you tell us how you kind of how you keep track of numbers and make things easier to see where you're going in the future?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So there's a lot of business owners that run their numbers when they go do their taxes at the end of the year. Yeah. And that's what they know, what's tracked is measured. And for my clients, we get to the point where we not only know our numbers on a monthly basis, but we break them down. We coincide them with their goals. We break them down to a weekly number and then even a daily number. And one of the numbers that often gets missed is your break-even point. And that's going to be different for every industry. But, do you need to know your break-even for the month or for the week? Or really, a lot of businesses need to know their break-even by the day. So at what point, if your employees and everyone, production starts at 6 a.m., are we breaking even at noon? Or are we not even breaking even until we get to 6 or 7 p.m.? Because those are two different formulas. If we're not even breaking even by 6 or 7 p.m., well, what happens if a shiny penny comes up or, a fire happens or something comes in that disrupts that? Now we haven't broke even for that day, and that doesn't go away. That just rolls into the next day. Right. So that by being able to break it down that way, you're not looking at it as a big month. You're looking at it as a day or a week, and you can quickly make those changes. So if truly our breakdown or our break even requires 12 or 13 days, do we need to add a second shift? Do we need to add another employee? We can quickly make those decisions rather than waiting, sometimes a year or even a month. We can pivot much quicker.
Hey everybody, Jess here. What if I could help your company find over $100,000 in hidden revenue streams in less than an hour without spending an extra dime on advertising or marketing? Reach out to me at cardzap.thebumpcard.me. Check out the video on 5 steps to profit and also reach out and we can have a conversation. Thank you.
That's great information. Yeah, it's sometimes even for myself, I don't think about that stuff that as often as I should, as far as keeping track of that stuff. And so it says that you can kind of figure out your you can predict your future profits by measuring your KPIs, which is key performance indicators. Could you tell us a little bit about what that process looks like and how people can kind of identify those measurements?
Absolutely. So we developed the KPIs. We have this. We talked about the plan, the 5-year, the 1-year, the 90-day, and depending on the size of your business, those KPIs could be for yourself. It could be for your general manager, your leadership team. But those are, the way that we've found the best way to be able to get down to the nitty-gritty of those numbers. Know if you're a production manager and you're trying to figure out that first, second, okay, do we add a third shift? Where our sales are down or things like that, when are we going to make those changes? And we try to set the KPIs at least 13 weeks out, knowing that there's going to be fluctuations and things like that. But let's get a rough idea so that if we need to hire employees, we can go through our hiring process. We can go through potentially a termination process or whatever kind of needs to happen to be able to stay within those metrics.
Okay. And how do you figure out what your metrics should be? I mean, when you go into a business and you're analyzing them and you kind of see what's going on, how do you pick out which key performance indicators are the ones that are actually going to make a difference?
They already know.
Mean,
if you're a business owner, at the end of the year, what you want to be at or what you need to be at or where you want to be at. Okay. And starting with that kind of big number and working backwards. That's kind of my role as a coach is I don't pick for you. You get to pick what your KPIs are. And that kind of ties on to this methodology too that we have of testing and measuring. So we don't know what those KPIs need to be or should be. Well, let's start with a number. Let's start with an idea. Do it for a month or 2 months or 2 weeks, whatever is, congruent with your business. And then, test and measure another one, and get some things on paper so we can look back at it. And then we can say, okay, this is the one we want to track. This is the one that's going to make the most momentum for us.
Okay. And how do you determine, looking at the numbers, which levers to pull to get the expected results? Is there like some tips you have on doing that?
Depends on what your goals are, I think. I work with businesses that are usually in the growth phase and then also at the point where they're looking to potentially exit.
Yeah. So
at that point, if your goals are to grow, then I think it's more, I don't know how to explain that.
Oh, that's right.
So
I use
it's so general. It depends if you're working in a restaurant.
I'm not giving you enough to go off. So I in my brain I can picture like, okay, yeah, I need more leads so I can get more sales, so I can get more whatever. But I'm not very good personally at quantifying those into things to track. It's like I'm really good at processing how to fix things that need to happen in my business, but I'm not so good at how to track that so I can identify the path that I'm on. And so I was kind of trying to pick your brain a little bit so I could understand better how to how to quantify the steps to get the KPIs accomplished.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, yeah, that helps. Yeah. So we have a methodology, it's called the 5 ways that we look at. Okay. So there are, it's kind of the numbers that you're able to actually affect. So when you talk about leads or customers and how that all kind of flows into your business, a lot of businesses don't track the 5 ways. They actually track more of the 3 ways is kind of what it is. So they know maybe their number of customers, their revenue and their profit, but how did they get those customers? Working backwards from, well, I think I had 100 people walk into my store. Okay. So how many bought? 25. Okay. So that's a 25% conversion rate. Okay. Well, how did you get those 100 people into your store? Oh, okay. So we did this marketing. Do you know which marketing they came through? Was it LinkedIn? Was it Facebook? Was it the mailer? Was it a special invitation? And if we don't know those things, then we need to start asking that. Yeah. We need to ask, customers, well, how did you find us today? How did you come in today? Oh, I was just, if it's a retailer, I was just walking by in the neighborhood. Well, perfect. Now we have a measure of how you're getting those 100 in. And then once we kind of test and measure that for a little while, then we can start to affect that. So if we're getting a lot more walk bys or walk in front of our retail store rather than spending money on doing a direct mailer, well, maybe we need to shift that direct mailer. Maybe that's not working. Maybe we're just pinpointing it to the wrong customers, that kind of thing. So we can affect, instead of having 100 customers come in, we could get 120 customers to come in, and what that does for all of those different metrics.
Yeah, I know when it's foot traffic, sometimes it's as easy as putting out one of those sandwich boards or whatever they call them. Those little miniature billboards in front, an extra sign with your today's special, and they walk by and they go, ooh, some sort of stew, and it sounds really delicious on a cool day or whatever, whatever it is. But I've noticed that sometimes, or they like the local Little Caesars pizza here, they got the guy out on the side of the street dancing, the sign, go get your pizza here. And you're like driving home and you're going, God, I don't want to cook, man. Look, hey, there's that pizza guy there. I'll go grab a pizza from him, exactly. Or her. And so sometimes it's something as little as that, I suppose. I know I've seen those new proximity things where it like shoots out like through Bluetooth or something to, there's a special within a walking distance or something. I don't know how that technology works necessarily, but it's kind of neat that it's out there. So
it is really interesting. Yeah. And then we can take that even a step further too. So if you get those folks in that just, I don't want to cook tonight and I want to, have a pizza. So is your staff trained that when, not only did they ask them how they came in, oh, it was the dancing guy out there, he had some good moves. So I figured your pizza's probably good too. Once you get them in the door, do you have a script or a way to help them not only sell the pizza, but the cheese bread as well? Yeah. Or grabbing a soda or some wings, or kind of adding to that. That's increasing your bottom line as well, because not only did they buy one thing, but they bought two things.
Nice. And then of course tell them, hey, blast this out to your friends on social media. Since they're there, I guess might as well. So the business chassis is vital to growing my business, and if it worked well, it will help me multiply my profits. I didn't know what that was referring to, so I thought maybe you'd know.
Yes. So you'll learn a little more as you read through.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing yet. So. Yeah.
So the chassis is speaking to, and I think the one that it references in the book is the would you rather have a Volkswagen or I think it's the Audi TT. Like, would you rather have a daily kind of regular car, or would you rather have the sports car? Well, they actually both started on the same chassis, the same base of the car is the same. It's just all the other things that went onto it changed the form of it and the performance and horsepower and all that jazz. So that's talking about, we have what we call the 6 steps to our 6-step system. So I mentioned the first one being mastery. So that's kind of your foundation. That's putting control to chaos. And then we go all the way. So our definition of a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. So that's going from that mastery. It's going into kind of the marketing, finding your USP, so your unique selling proposition or your niche. Then we look at team. So we've got these other things going. And then, because I know a lot of people like to jump right to their team, but there's a couple other things that affect that. Then we go into team. Then we go into potentially looking at our general manager and our synergies between how everything is working together. And then it gives the business owner options. So that's where that works without you. Okay. It gives the business owner, they can keep working in the business. It's generating, it's got synergy, it's got a general manager that's actually in there doing kind of the daily tasks or daily things that need to get done. So the owner has an option. They can stay in the business, continue to generate revenue for themselves, or they can go start another business. They can, now that they know how to run a business, and every business has that same system. So that's kind of the idea behind the chassis. It's getting your foundation, figuring out your marketing, getting your people together, getting your process and systems right, and then hiring that general manager, whatever that is for your industry, to make sure all of those things are working correctly. That all is the same, whether you're in e-commerce or logistics or construction or, whatever it is.
Wow, that's fantastic. And what would you say a couple top revenue generating tips that you could give, say a small service business or something, they got, a handful of employees, and they really they just need to, just have a little bit more so they can, cross the $1 million a year mark. What would be a couple revenue generating tips that you would normally give to them?
That's a tough question. I have like 385 different tips at my disposal. I would say, so if they already kind of have a team, I know that the owners, they kind of get caught in that trap of doing everything, and that nothing can go out the door without my approval or my decision or things like that. And we talk a lot about the cycle of business. So it's the owner, of course, that person started it, and then it's the team, and then it's the business. So if you have it where the owner is taking care of the team, making sure that they're getting what they need, they'll take care of the business. And then when the business is getting from the team everything that it needs, so is that marketing and customer care and all of those things, then the business takes care of the owner, if that kind of makes sense. So the circle of business there. So that, I think that's an underutilized formula sometimes, because the owner will go directly to the business, and as opposed to allowing them to take care of their team and their team to take care of their business, help your team do what they were hired to do, so that they can take care of the business, and then everything flows a lot easier.
Okay.
And then the other big one for me is testing and measuring. So around marketing specifically is just because I think this is a little bit different now with kind of before COVID and after COVID, but there's no longer that this is just the way we've done it, and that you really need to, data is power. So everything that you're doing, testing and measuring. So if you're doing LinkedIn ads and you're not getting the return that you're looking for, doesn't mean that it's not working. It just means that whatever you're doing right now isn't necessarily working. So let's test and measure a couple of different titles, a couple of different pictures, and kind of don't be married to just one thing. And even if it's something that you don't like, you can always hire someone else to do it. And especially right now, just because we've done it 5 years ago or 10 years ago and it didn't work then, well, we know a lot more today. Yeah. So maybe we should try it again.
Yeah, I agree. We're in the digital marketing space, and I guess we call it A/B testing. But when we're going to go run, like say Facebook ads, for instance, or Google ads or whatever, or LinkedIn ads, like you mentioned, usually we do like 2 almost identical ads, but one will have like one like a different picture or a different phrase or a different closing, and then we measure which one works best. And then once we pick that one out, then we make one other change. We keep that one, and then we make one other change, and then we just keep iterating until we have an ongoing system that seems to be producing the results that we're after. And that's kind of the process how we do it on the digital marketing end. But it's the same concept as what you're saying there, just different terminology, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. But very, very cool. Well, I wanted to give you one more opportunity to let people know where to find you again. I know we did it at the front of the hour, or at the end as well. If you could tell them where to find you and which social media platforms they should follow you on.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's my website is my name, so it's ashleytapp.actioncoach.com. LinkedIn at Ashley Tapp, not the chess player. And then I am on Facebook. My company is Tapp Action Coach. So it's TAPP Action Coach on Facebook.
Perfect. And I want to thank you for being on the show today. And then everybody that's listening, make sure you go back and listen to this again and again, because I think there's a lot of nuggets in there that you could take notes on and then apply to your business, and it'll really help you grow your business faster. So make sure you do that. And then, of course, as we always have to say at the end, make sure you like, subscribe, share, support, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the next episode. And again, Ashley, thank you for being a great guest today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.